Okay, guys, today I'm going to show you how to do the additional work forms that we have now added to Heavyjob. So just like every other, it starts off like every other time card that we're usually doing. So make sure you're on the right day. I'm on my test job here. It's just got a couple of cost codes in there. You guys don't need to worry about, which job I'm working on. It's all the same for each job. Um, but we're going to start it just like we do any other one, and we start with our diary. Now, something to remember here is that the additional work ticket notes, that does not come from your diary, it comes from your cost code. So it's something to just keep in mind that, as you still have to write your diary like you normally do, but the notes that go into your T&M form come from the cost code, not from the diary. So right here, we're going to go to use location, just like you normally would, getting all the weather and stuff. And now, like I said, I typically, get used to. I want you guys to get used to using the microphone. It makes it a lot easier for everybody. I can't because I got my headphones in for this. But basically, I'm just going to type in just a random activity that we're doing here. So excavated 15-inch HDPE ran into unmarked utilities required to reveal pipe and alter drainage around. Topsoiled around islands, equipment check at 9 a.m. So just something that you would typically write in there, but it's not going to be in your additional work ticket. So all that information, again, like you wouldn't, topsoil around the islands is not additional work. Wouldn't want it in the note. That's why it doesn't come from the diary. So now we go to our time card. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add crew, and I'm just going to take the top two guys here and just say these two, and then we'll go to our equipment, and we'll go to, say we had 308, and we had the 506 Mason dump. Okay, so now I got both of those in there. Now I'm going to double check, just, we'll ever get in the habit of just checking rates in here. So we're going to go back in here and make sure we have, we're going to say he's a 825 foreman. And then we're going to go into here and we're going to say he's a prevailing wage 560. So now we're going to go, sorry. Now we're going to go and add the cost codes here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of them here. So I'm going to go 15-inch pipe. I'm going to go sidewalk, or I'm sorry, let me just delete that. I'm going to go field labor. So, again, I'll let you guys see the field labor there. So I'll show you what happened with that. And at the bottom here, again, I can just search it and go additional work. I know that I have additional work on this form here, and I'll show you that there's obviously three of them showing here, and I'll explain why. And it's because, obviously you guys know there's times where you might be doing, roof leaders that are additional work, and then you're also putting in additional curb, and then you're also putting in, you're also exporting fill that's an extra as well. And all of this being an extra, but somehow it's still, different objectives. So that's where you would have to make different tickets for it, which you guys have done on the same day before. It's nothing new. But that's why we have multiple in here. I'll show you. I'm going to add these two, and then I'm going to add just some couple other ones there. I'm going to move this down here. And then again, you don't have to worry about moving any of that around. I just want to show you for an example here. So again, and typically, we have some of those jobs here that aren't inputted into HCSS. So we just have the field labor cost code. You guys know what I'm talking about. So when that happens, if there's no additional work ticket cost code, you can call me and I can either add it, or it's as simple as just clicking T&M up here in the top left for, if there's no cost codes in the job. That does the same concept of what I'm going to show you guys here with the additional work numbers. But for the purposes of just showing you guys that it's possible with any cost code, you can even do it with the 15-inch. So if all you're doing is installing 15-inch pipe, but you're installing 200 more feet of it, you can go and click T&M, and now all of a sudden it'll be able to create a ticket for you. So now I'm going to get rid of field labor here, not to confuse anybody. So I'm going to go in my additional, I'm going to put my additional work ticket in, and I'm going to do all of that in this window here. So for add quantity, I'm going to put 0. But again, I know a lot of you guys sometimes get confused there. When it tells you you can't send a cost code without a quantity to it. The quantity can be zero. You just have to type in zero. So when you first start, if I go to a different one here, it'll tell you add quantity. You can't leave it as add quantity. You just got to make it zero. So just a quick note for that. But now I'm going to go back into my additional work ticket number one, and I'm going to type in into the notes here what I did. So installed 15-inch, or let me reword that here. While installing 15-inch HDPE, ran into existing utility, had to reroute. And then like you guys normally do in here, you just type in, okay, so I had to have two 15-inch 45s, and you also required a little bit more stone. So 10-ton, 3/4. Just an example, again, it can be anything, but this is just for this cost code itself. So now I have the note, that N, that green N pops up in there to make sure you know that you have your notes in there. So now let me put hours to it. So let me say this guy is 6, and that is 2, and then the 308 is 5 hours, and the mason dump was 1. So now I have all the information in there that I need, and I can go and make my forms. And I go back to the home screen, I go to forms, and I go to add form. Now down here, this is what I was talking about before. There are three numbers in here, and what that equates to is, like I said, when you have these jobs where you have multiple things going on, and there's 2 different additional works going on in the same day. What the number 1, the number 2, the number 3 stand for is that whichever one is the first T&M code, that's number 1 cost code. So then the number 2 T&M cost code would be here. So for example, I go back to my time card and I look at this. Now the first code in there is 15-inch pipe. That won't show up though because my first T&M code is the second in order. Now again, doesn't matter where it is in the order, that's still the first T&M cost code to pop up. The second T&M cost code to pop up is this one right here, the additional work ticket number 2. So now, if I go back to here and I go to not time card. If I go back to form and I click on a DAD form, additional code number 1. Now it pops in all this information for you. Everything that we put in the cost code notes pops up right here. If I want to, I can change any of it. It wasn't 3/4, it was DJ. And I got my equipment hours in there, my labor, or my foreman, my prevailing wage, truck driver. I got all that in here. Now what's not popping up is the materials because I actually skipped a step there and I apologize. If I go back here and I go to my time card and I go to my additional work ticket, I go to add materials. I can add in anything that's in the job right here. They also added a function that you can go to your library. The library is everything that's been in any job ever. So you can see here there's a lot of stuff. Might not have everything you're looking for, but let me type in 15-inch. 15-inch. That one do the I didn't want to do the quote one there. HDPE. So now if I go down here, go down to 15-inch, I see a 45-degree elbow that I can put in and the couplings. So now I go back. Now, I forgot to add the stone in there, so I can add the stone. That one's in the job, so I can just put it there. And I type in my couplings. I had 4, and I had 2 45s and 10-ton. That's 4. That's 2. Okay. So now, when I go back to my forms, now if you do a form and then you change something with it, you just got to delete it and then add it again. Otherwise, it won't update. So now I go back into my form, and there they are. So now again, if I need to add and change anything to it, I can add whatever I want to. It's all editable. And then at the end there, like we have the signatures on it. Not every site will, have GCs that'll do it. But if, say, John Smith is going to sign your additional work ticket, you can have him click on that button, and he goes right there. and I can sign it and go right like that. Then once I'm done, I would go to send. But then let me show you. Let me go back to my time cards here. If I go additional work number 2, and I just write additional work just for fun. Now again, this is the second additional work code in the order. So it's going to use the second form for it. So I go back to add form, and I go to number 2. So again, it doesn't take the second one in order. It takes the second T&M code in order. So again, there's no materials to it, but it came in with my notes, came with everything that I need. So that's basically all done. I just go to the top there. I'm not going to send these because I don't need to. But then at the end, you just go to send out everything that you got, and then you will be good. And that's all you got to do for the T&M stuff. If there's anything you guys need added, if there's any questions that you have on it, please just call me. But that should just